Turning now, strong pushback on Capitol Hill.
All right, let's talk about, speaking of gas, Lamont, I find it fascinating that Fox News would post a story like this. What is this? A Georgia handyman swapped his car for a pink Barbie car toy to beat rising gas prices. Mali Hightower pulled a broken Power Wheels dream camper out of the trash and installed a small gas engine from a power washer to give him an alternative to speed around town instead of his usual mode of transportation. His 1996 Mercedes-Benz convertible typically costs about $90 to fill. The tiny pink vehicle tops out around 35 miles per hour and is now turning heads everywhere as he goes. Everywhere he goes is America's search for cheaper ways to get around. You know what's funny? This guy is still supporting Trump. That's what's so funny about it. I'm willing to bet this guy's going to be like, yeah, you know, I did this thing and I still love my president and I feel patriotic driving around in my Barbie dream car.
I'm about to pull up. Gas is getting too high, so I got to do what I can. I can't do my regular cars. I got to do my little mini cars. So if I can get $1 on pump 6, that'll be great. Thank you, sir. Thank you. We're going to take some of that $4 gas and...
By the way, we are literally subjecting ourselves to Cuba conditions right now. Once again, because of Israel. That right there is literally ingenuity. It's wonderful. It's brilliant. Love it. Also, that's what people in Cuba have to do, right? You don't have to do that in America. America is the developed nation state. And also on top of that, not in the crosshairs of a much larger, imperial superpower, right? In the way that Cuba is. And yet we are doing that to ourselves. We are doing that to ourselves right now. Fucking awesome. Great. Anyway, speaking of countries, third world nations that America obviously represents, for the record, again, because of our own unlimited appetite for death and destruction around the world, we are basically punishing ourselves. Donald Trump has an anti-DOJ, or Trump's DOJ has created an anti-weaponization fund. This is, of course, here we are, happening in the heels of Donald Trump trying to sue the IRS into submission to the tune of $10 billion with his own former defense attorney that is now the acting attorney general, Todd Blanche. Let's take a look.
Over potential taxpayer-funded payouts to President Trump's allies as part of a deal with the Justice Department. And it is not just Democrats raising objections. Many Senate Republicans have objected as well. And this could have all kinds of ripple effects on the president's legislative agenda. Ed O'Keefe is at the White House with the details. Ed, good morning.
Major, good to see you. A closed-door meeting on Capitol Hill with Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche, for example, left many Republicans still unsure about this Justice Department fund. Some senators say they pressed for answers and walked away wanting even more clarity on who exactly might get paid. One lawmaker called the fund a, quote, curveball that nobody anticipated, as skepticism, especially among Republicans, continues to grow. The Trump administration's new so-called anti-weaponization fund now is costing the president in another way. It's stalling a major Trump priority to fund border security and immigration and customs enforcement. The nearly $1.8 billion fund, created by the Justice Department to compensate people who say they were targeted by government actions, is drawing intense pushback from Democrats.
People are hurting, and this administration is acting as if the American people are their ATM.
And now a growing number of Republicans, like North Carolina Senator Tom Tillis, who calls the fund, quote, a payout pot for punks.
Under what circumstances would it ever make sense to provide restitution for people who were either pled guilty or were found guilty in a court of law?
Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche tried to make the case to Republican senators in what sources described as a tense meeting. Senator Tommy Tuberville told CBS News Blanche said there would be no compensation for those who assaulted law enforcement. CBS News has reached out to the Justice Department for comment. The confusion is fueling Republican frustration.
This is just stupid on stilts.
But the White House continues to defend the fund.
This settlement is just a small measure of the justice that they are owed.
Among those who say they are owed, Enrique Tarrio, a leader of the Proud Boys.
This is awesome.
Then pardoned by the president for helping organize the insurrection.
You know, I lost a lot. I was in solitary confinement for 3 years, just in legal fees, right? I'm at like $1.25 million.
Another thing dividing the GOP is the Iran war. In the House, they'd scheduled the vote to limit the president's power over the war. It likely would have passed against the White House's wishes and is now scheduled for June. Gail?
All right, Ed, to be continued for sure. Thanks a lot. Major, it's interesting to see the pushback from the Republicans. What does this all mean?
So, look, the White House still might muscle this through. It has a long track record of muscling through, even when Senate Republicans or House Republicans object for a moment or two. So you have to keep that in mind. But there are new problems for the White House because Bill Cassidy now has no loyalty to the White House. He lost last Saturday. John Cornyn might not have any loyalty to the White House after.
Can I just say, the very fact that Bill Cassidy and John Cornyn are only now, or well, not John Cornyn necessarily, but like Bill Cassidy is the best example of this. The very fact that Bill Cassidy is only now deciding to take certain actions against Donald Trump because he's on a vengeance quest implies that every single Republican in Congress is a complete and utter demon. They all know what the fuck they're doing, okay? This is proof of what we knew here already. They all know that there is no real audience for the decisions that they're making. They're serving an audience of one, Donald Trump. They don't give a shit. They don't give a shit. There is no moral conviction here. They're just slaves to Donald Trump, who's a slave to Israel. So I guess they're doubly slaved by Israel. But, you know, just understand that. If you are in any way, shape, or form confused about whether or not these guys know what they're doing, just know they know exactly what they're doing. Okay? They know exactly what they're doing. They don't care. They know what they're doing is wrong. They know what they're doing is immoral. They know what they're doing is bad for their voters. They don't give a shit. It's great.
Tuesday, if he loses runoff with Ken Paxton, that now creates 5 or 6 Senate Republicans who have no vested interest anymore in helping the president move his agenda. That could be problematic.
I'll say.
All right, Major. Thank you.
This is the most flagrantly, staggeringly, obscenely corrupt thing that Trump has ever done in office. I have in my hand what purports.
Dude, this is so funny. Legal Eagle is pissed off. I mean, it's true, by the way. Everything he's saying is true. This January 6th shit is so fucking insane. And not only that, but he also argued for a carve-out where the IRS, like where he has protection against, IRS actions in the future too. It's fucking ridiculous.
To be the settlement of Trump's claims against the IRS for the disclosure of his tax agreements. That is a lie. That is a fraud on the American people. What Trump is doing here is creating an illegal fund of billions of dollars to pay out whomever he chooses, including and especially the traitors who breached the Capitol and tried to overturn the election to turn it over in Trump's favor. My blood is boiling. This is a new low for this administration. And this is an administration that has been rife with corruption and illegality, but this is probably the worst thing that they have done so far. Now, suffice to say, the president cannot take taxpayer money and give it to whomever he wants. But this unbelievably, ironically named anti-weaponization fund is exactly that. He's going to pay out his friends, his family, and domestic terrorists. And that's just who we know about. I'm frankly running out of adjectives. This is theft. This is corruption. This is treason. If he gets away with this, there are simply no more limits, at least with respect to what Trump can do with taxpayer money. If he can pay out billions with a B to his cronies without any real oversight, I don't know, are we done as a country? At best, this is Orban-esque. But this is frankly verging into Putin territory. And of course, the corruption cherry.
No, it is. Not verging, it is. It's 1,000,000% in violation of everything this government has ever stood for theoretically. Okay? It is 100% full-blown Turkification. This is like those who are fresh off the boat from third world countries, developing nations around the world, have already experienced a version of this in their countries. I've seen it in Turkey. This is literally unheard of in America, to do this in broad daylight. No sophistication whatsoever. So openly, so nakedly cruel and incompetent, and also directly just engaging in the act of theft. It is, I've never seen anything like it happening in America. I never thought that this would happen in America. This is literally the one thing that every fresh off the boat immigrant's parents will say does not happen in America, right? It's a failure of the system. It's done.
On top of the corruption Sunday is that Trump is personally ending and forebaying all audits and suits into his businesses and his family's finances. Oh, and the government is issuing him an apology as well. Wonderful. Now, we're talking about this as if it is a legal settlement to the claims that he had against the government that he has control over. But it is not. This is not a settlement. This has about as much to do with a legal settlement as a shoehorn has to do with a French horn. I'm reluctant to even talk about the legalities or the legal aspects of this because there's nothing legal about this. There was no process here. There was no judicial review. There was no decision by a fact finder or a jury. This is simply Trump taking.
Yeah. Trump literally said, give me $1 billion and we'll call it a day. It's incredible. I still, it's genuinely unbelievable how bad this is. I genuinely, I don't know what to say. Because it's straight up stealing money from the American taxpayer for himself. But he can do anything he wants with it. And you know who actually put it? You know who actually fucking, wrote the standards of this agreement? Trump's own defense attorney, Todd Blanche, who is the current acting defense attorney now, or acting attorney general, because the previous attorney general, who also was another Trump defense attorney, was fired. Both of his fucking attorney generals are his defense attorneys. It's insane.
Power and paying it out to whomever he wants to. That being said, the fig leaf that they are using to cover up their own manifest corruption and illegality is that this was related to a demand that Trump had for $10 billion related to the 2020 disclosure of his tax returns by a contractor at the IRS. Now, we are in the process of writing and filming a video that goes into much more detail about the legal aspects and really more relevant here, the illegal aspects of what's happening. That's going to come out in a few days. But suffice to say, Trump's suit was unbelievably bogus. Again, you can sue anyone for anything and claim that you're entitled to however much money you want. But in that case, in the best of circumstances, a disclosure of those kind of tax returns would be limited to $1,000 per disclosure. And the statute of limitations is 2 years, which has long since elapsed. Oh, and by the way, the president who was in control of the IRS at the time that those tax returns were disclosed was President Trump himself. Oh, and the irony here is that yes, while leaking tax returns is illegal, the only reason the American people didn't already have Trump's tax returns is that he refused to turn them over like every single other presidential candidate does as a matter of course when they run for president. And of course, which he pledged to eventually release and never did. But he was probably withholding them because he was looking down the barrel of hundreds of millions of dollars of fines related to his tax crimes, including double dipping. Crimes which he has now given himself immunity. And those crimes, and
not just himself. I said this earlier too, but his shithead family members, including his dickhead kids, his sons, and his companies as well. Dude, it's kind of awesome how open and how naked this corruption is. It is remarkable to watch it unfold. And then it's remarkable to watch it unfold and then have like his cult look at this and go, what now, libtard? Yeah, he's stealing from me. Fuck you. He deserves it. We are truly in uncharted territory. Like, this is Donald Trump's I can execute someone on Fifth Avenue and my fans would still love me moment. This is straight up an execution. This is the thing that Republicans fucking hate the most, right? If they had any ideological commitment to a movement or a belief system bigger than Donald Trump, this would be it. What do Republicans complain about all the time? Oh, man, the government is so corrupt. Oh, man, where are my tax dollars going? Well, it turns out your tax dollars are going to Donald Trump and whoever he wants to give your tax dollars to. So if you personally don't look at the situation and go, this is insane. Okay, a chatter brought up a really good point, and I have to address it. He said, well, they claimed they hated pedophilia too, and here we are. Okay, fair. Fair. At this point, to expect Republicans to care about anything beyond whatever makes Trump happy is a silly endeavor. Okay? The only thing Republicans are animated by is to praise dear fucking leader. He doesn't take his salary though. Brother, what the fuck are you talking about? Yeah, he doesn't take his like meager wages in comparison to how much he has literally done insider trading. There's no fucking way you're that stupid, right? That has to be bait. Who even brings that up at this point? Yeah, he doesn't need a salary. He's made like $6 billion since he became president, you fucking idiot.
The tax crimes of his family members and businesses were not even part of his suit against the IRS. He's just throwing them in because why not? The New York Times is reporting that the IRS actually issued a 20-page report on how bogus this suit was. This suit was a joke, and frankly, on this channel, we treated it as such because it was so stupid and so brazen. And frankly, we thought the worst that was going to come from it was that it was just going to be tossed out of court and it was going to waste taxpayer resources. My God, how wrong we were. But what became legitimately interesting is that the judge in that case realized that there was a problem. Trump was not only the plaintiff in this case, but also the defendant. He controlled the IRS and the Department of Justice. And so the judge appointed what are called amici to discuss whether there was something called a case in controversy. You can't just sue yourself. You can't collude with a friend to sue over something and get a payout when there's no real controversy and there's no adversity. And the judge correctly realized that. And because the Trump Department of Justice couldn't be trusted to actually defend that suit, they appointed an amici to discuss that particular issue. Oh, and by the way, the entire lodestone of right-wing judicial theory right now rests on what's called the unitary executive theory, which purports that there is no distinction between the president and anyone in the executive branch, which even by that particular theory meant that Trump was suing himself and absolutely could not have recovered from the public coffers from his bogus BS case. But the fact that Trump sued himself as the sitting president is a scandal in and of itself. The fact that the interim head of the Department of Justice, Todd Blanche, is Trump's personal lawyer who should have been conflicted out of that position, that is a scandal. The fact that we even got to this point alone shows us how low the bar has gotten. Trump's lawsuit had about as much legal basis as your average sovereign citizen nonsense who claims that they can drive a car without a license or isn't required to pay taxes. As you can tell, I'm angry. And what's worse is that right-wing news sources are simply ignoring this because it is absolutely indefensible. But honestly, I don't think people understand how bad this really is. This settlement creates a slush fund that will be controlled by a 5-member board, which of course...
What Trump is doing is literally how libs portrayed Kim Jong-un, the Castros, Hugo Chavez, the CCP, the Central Committee of the USSR, etc., in order to justify their own system that produced Donald Trump. Absolutely. No, this level of naked corruption is far beyond the most exaggerated claims that liberals make about like our socialist adversaries. Okay, like even the way that we present foreign adversaries as like corrupt autocracies don't get to this level. Vladimir Putin doesn't do this in broad daylight. Recep Tayyip Erdogan doesn't do this in broad daylight in the way that Trump is doing, because that's how fucking stupid the average American hog is. Like, I'm telling you, I'm Turkish. I grew up in this fucking environment. I've seen Recep Tayyip Erdogan engage in unbelievable levels of corruption by way of his family. And even then, there is a legal process, or at least like some kind of fake legal process, or some kind of shelter from the average Turkish citizen directly seeing the Erdogan regime go, give me the fucking tax dollars. I'm going to put it in my pocket, and I'm going to protect my family members directly in broad daylight. It's actually insane. So in some ways, Donald Trump isn't lying when he says he's the most transparent president. It's just that he is transparently and nakedly corrupt. He is unbelievably transparent in a way where no other fucking tyrant even is that transparent, because they at least know that if they were to be that transparent in their naked corruption, their brazen corruption, then their own fans would probably rise up and revolt.
Course, is appointed by Trump. He can add or remove members as he sees fit. There will effectively be no oversight whatsoever. And by the terms of this settlement, they can basically choose to hand out money to whomever they want under whatever criteria they want. And you can bet that they will pay out whoever Trump wants. There are no real guardrails here. This is pure patronage for a king. The language allows the board to pay whoever they want. They can pay Trump if he wants to, under any criteria. But make no mistake, President Trump.
Yeah, like someone actually brought up a good point. At least Erdogan took all that fucking funds, took all those funds, and gave it to his son-in-law. But then his son-in-law at least built like a fucking indigenous defense manufacturing business that's like fairly competitive. This is just Trump literally saying like, give me the billions, I'll give it to some people that were a part of this insurrection, my own paramilitary force, and then the rest I'll pocket on my own. There's nothing you can do about it. You know, again, in fucking broad daylight. June 1st, 1933, the Fund of German Trade and Industries created a huge slush fund administered by Martin Bormann in the Führer's name. The regime used the funds to compensate SS stormtroopers who committed street violence, subsidize the SS, and enrich Nazi party officials. Yeah, this is actually kind of worse than that because it's not even an organized militia. I guess I'm happy that we don't have an organized SS-style paramilitary formation yet. But Trump is just giving this to like random fucking HVAC business owners who storm the halls of the Capitol. And also his own, like he's going to just fund his own damn self. Oh, true. I mean, we have ICE. I guess you're right. We have ICE. ICE has become de facto that.
Is raping the public treasury for his own gratification. And this slush fund agreement, it's a troll. It purports to claim that Trump is not being paid out. But if you give someone an account with billions of dollars in it and they have control as to how it's paid, even if that account isn't in their name, if they have sole control over it, it's their money. And that's exactly what they've done here. Now, we don't know exactly who will be compensated.
Well, sir, I'll have you know that it's not directly in Trump's pockets. It's actually a 5-person committee appointed by Trump's defense attorney, Todd Blanche. Trump's defense attorney, Todd Blanche, who is now the acting attorney general of the United States of America. So technically, who knows what that hand-selected 5-person committee will decide on who gets to have what kind of money. Do it how JD would, rage bait. Yeah. Actually, this is an important point to make about truth and justice. It's obvious that lawfare took place against the bravest soldiers that were simply patriotic and wanted to see the inside of Capitol Hill. And these people suffered. For years, they didn't get to see their families. For what reason? Because they love Donald Trump? Well, I say it's appropriate to compensate them.
compensated. I mean, it's not even compensation. Bribed? But we do know for sure that it will include some or all of the January 6ers, the terrorists who tried to overthrow the government. Of course, they were pardoned, and that is an unfathomable scandal alone, but effectively what this committee is going to do is they are going to pay out the people who tried to overthrow the government to put Trump in power. These are convicted criminals. The fact that they were later pardoned by Trump doesn't change.
So many of them are pedophiles.
The fact that these are treasonous pieces of excrement who tried to stab our democracy in its heart. Trump has already paid out millions of dollars to traitors like Michael Flynn, who filed another bogus lawsuit. But this doesn't even require people to file a lawsuit. You can bet that some or all of the people who invaded the Capitol on January 6th are going to get massive paydays. Now, in a press release, Todd Blanche said that the settlement fund was going to include $1776 billion to pay out whomever this committee wants. And of course, everyone in the media breathlessly reported that as the number, approximately $1.8 billion with a B dollars to convicted criminals, among other people that Trump wants to give patronage to. But here's the thing. Nowhere in this settlement does it mention that dollar amount. And the particular fund that they're pulling from, one of the DOJ's settlement funds, is an ongoing appropriation, but there's not necessarily a limit. And certainly there is no limit in this settlement agreement that limits them to $1.
Someone said, why is it Nick Shirley talking about this? Because Trump is benevolent. Because Nick Shirley was on January 6th. So technically, he could actually demand some fucking compensation too. Maybe that's why he's not asking questions. He could get paid. He could get breaded up. On God, say you're lying? No, it's not. It's not a lie. Was he actually? I didn't know. Yes. I mean, technically, I don't think you could actually try him in court because he's mentally deficient. And at most, you can try his mother in court because she's the one who escorts him around. I don't think you could actually convict Nick Shirley of any crime because he is not mentally competent enough to stand trial.
$1.8 billion. And like I said, the terms are so ambiguous that they can pay out whoever they want. $1 billion for Don Jr.? Sure, he was targeted by lawfare. $500 million for election tampering Tina Peters? Great, she was pardoned.
Wait, is he like actually intellectually disabled? Have you heard him speak?
$10 billion for the Republican National Convention? Of course. $1 billion for rebuilding Trump Tower? Why not? Of course, Obama did something that requires remuneration. $800 million for Russian hackers? Absolutely. Step right up and get.
Yeah, dude, Nick went to Minneapolis, Murderapolis, and openly demonstrated that he did not know what a mall was, what a medical plaza was. He just he legitimately was like, oh, why are there so many competing businesses in the same area? What?
Get the money. Just make up a claim that says you were targeted by some past administration. There is absolutely no real criteria that is enforceable.
You want to know what's even crazier than Nick Shitley? The well of depravity is endless in America, and the market forces are demanding something even worse than Nick Shirley. And that's how you arrive at Chud the Builder. So Nick Shirley isn't even the final evolution of conservative stupidity. The market forces are now demanding someone even worse. A guy that runs around and basically says the N, not basically, a guy that runs around and says the N-word with a hard R to black people, and then he runs back to his car where he has a gun, where he'll just pull out his gun and brandish his weapon or threaten the people that get offended by it. Okay? And I have said already, yes, that's a real guy. His name is Chud the Builder. I said this already, but I think that's not even the worst version of this. Okay? He's going to prison regardless, Chud the Builder is. But the worst version of this is going to be a guy that just simply barks at black people and grunts at black people. There's one step beyond a guy who says the N-word at black people, and that is just a guy who can't form sentences. A guy who just simply grunts in the direction of black and brown people. Just fucking wait. We are going to get to that point, okay? I promise you, there's probably someone out there right now that sees the market and where it's moving and thinks this is the best possible thing to do. A guy who just cannot talk, like a guy who is incapable of communicating with human beings, who just goes, "Ugh, ugh, ugh."
And it's just going to be whatever Trump wants and whomever Trump wants to give money to. He's going to pay some of the people who invaded the Capitol and tried.
What a liberal ass take. The Klan will be live streaming on Kick within a year. Buddy, the Klan is already fucking streaming on Kick.
To turn the election in his favor, and he might be prepaying the next people. He could say, hey, as long as you use this money to go buy a bunch of AR-15s and be in Washington next January 6th, great, go out and do it. As if pardoning the people who committed crimes for Trump's benefit weren't bad enough. Now he's going to pay people to do it in the future. I simply do not have words for this. These people are brown shirts. They are Nazis. They are Trump's personal Praetorian Guard, and now they get taxpayer funding. Congratulations. And even if it were limited just to $1.8 billion, that is a staggering amount of money. With that, you could fund the Corporation for Public Broadcasting and Voice of America.
Woke. Well, okay, well, that one is literally fucking CIA cutout. I mean, I don't give a shit about funding Voice of America, but again, woke public broadcasting, excuse me, woke eagle.
And still have enough left over to fully fund the National Endowment for the Arts. I think it's hard for lay people to grasp just how much money a single $1 billion, let alone 1.8 billion, let alone an unlimited amount of money that is not defined in the settlement agreement. And this was always the plan. They have been discussing a payout for the January 6ers for over a year. They just happened to use this as a vehicle for maximum secrecy and a fig leaf of a legal process. Under the terms of this agreement, all of this will be confidential. There will be no accountability to the American people. We will not know who gets this money if this is allowed to go through. We won't know how much money they get. At most, there will be a report given to Todd Blanche as the acting head of the Department of Justice, but he is not bound, nor do I ever expect that he would release any of those reports in the future. And of course, this whole commission expires right before the next president takes power. I mean, I probably don't need to tell you that all of this is flagrantly illegal. The general counsel for the U.S. Treasury, who was appointed by Trump and confirmed by a Republican Senate, resigned as a result of this incredible document of corruption. But yes, I will make the obvious point. This is illegal. This kind of action would require an appropriation from Congress, which it obviously does not have. The Anti-Deficiency Act, which we've talked about.
There's no such thing as illegal. Illegal doesn't exist. Okay? Nothing is illegal if there's no enforcement. Yeah. We are now in a very postmodern interpretation of the law where it's just not a thing. Like the concept of illegal action, at least for the president, is not a real thing. I mean, that's also constitutionally protected too. Like we have straight up created new hurdles for the president to ever be prosecuted for things that he does as president.
A lot, and which Trump has violated uncounted number of times makes it a felony to dole out money that has not been appropriated by Congress. And no, I don't believe that the appropriation of the Department of Justice covers what they are trying to do with this document. But let me put this on record to anyone who might be working in the government, who might be tempted to follow through with this settlement. Providing any funds as a result of this settlement is a felony, and every single person involved in the distribution of those funds can and should go to jail as a result. And in fact, on behalf of the American people, I think we need to demand of the next Congress that that should be a pledge of every single member of Congress, that they will put anyone in the executive branch who had a hand in this, that they go to jail. This is honestly 10 times worse than Watergate. French aristocrats found their necks in a guillotine for far less than this. This is not hyperbole. It's really this bad.
Oh my God. I've never heard him talk like this, dude. That's crazy. But also, I mean, yeah, I'll allow it. But also, how come nobody yells at him? When I say stuff like that, people go, wow, wow, wow. This guy is so violent.
Records.
Anyway, it doesn't end there. Okay. If you thought the well of depravity stopped with the January 6th slush fund, well, let me tell you, okay, there's more. Let me tell you, there's more. Donald Trump is quite the traitor. Yes, he's both a traitor and also a stock market player, okay? I'm talking shit that Nancy Pelosi never arrived in her entire career, okay? In the last couple of months alone, since the year of the Holy Lord 2026 started, Donald Trump has been moving units, okay? Holy shit. Let's take a look.
You don't have to. Recently, he released a filing that shows the stock trades that were made on his behalf. I should say immediately that the president denies exclusively doing these trades. They say these are all done through fully discretionary accounts, independently managed by third-party financial institutions with sole and exclusive authority over all investment decisions. Neither President Trump, his family, nor the Trump Organization plays any role in selecting, directing, or approving specific investments. Now, do we believe that? I mean, I don't know. I don't think he's personally directing all the investments. But what's strange is it rhymes with the Nancy Pelosi defense. Everyone knows Nancy Pelosi is a famously good stock trader, or specifically her husband is. And that's the whole excuse. She says, you know, she's not into stock trading, even though, you know, she has all sorts of insider information through her role as former Speaker of the House, as a Congresswoman. So people have been suspicious of her for years. And what makes this an ironic video is that this is something that Trump actually picked up on and kind of called her out for.
Members of Congress cannot corruptly profit from using insider information.
Now, it's funny, as you can see all the people from Congress standing up for that, but it's like, wait, aren't we calling out some of you in the room? Now, this is a line that they say every single time. We need to stop insider trading. We got to stop people from corruptly profiting on insider information. And then we get a big fat nothing. Every time, everyone, you know, there's a lot of vocal support, you know, in theory, and then nothing ever happens. Nobody ever gets stopped from doing this. But Nancy Pelosi is specifically singled out here as sort of the worst offender in Congress for these insider trading allegations.
Did Nancy Pelosi stand up if she's here? Doubt it.
Oh, we got it. We got it. You know, everybody has dunked on Nancy Pelosi forever, myself included, and rightfully so. Okay? She's the one.
Yeah, but when Trump does it, he does it cool style. He does it in a cool way. So it's different, you know what I mean? We like when Trump does it. He does it not woke. Yeah. He does it in a anti-woke fashion. Whereas Nancy Pelosi is a woman, which means she's doing it in a woke fashion.
One of the best traders of all time. In fact, there's even Twitter accounts you can go follow called Nancy Pelosi stock tracker, where they follow the specific trades of her husband, and you can basically participate in the insider trading allegations once they're disclosed, which is a little bit late anyways. But that same account, interestingly, has recently taken over to talking about these new filings that Trump had to do with relation to what he has been purchasing, because there has been a super unusual pattern of not only a lot of trading of various stocks, but also like Trump has gotten into shilling specific stocks, sometimes even with ticker symbols. And the Financial Times specifically did this incredible chart where they showed that, the amount of trades has just exploded recently. And this all coincides with, the Iran war starting here. The activity was ticking up right before that. And all of a sudden, you just have a flurry of stock trading activity where previously you hardly had any. I mean, there were not that many disclosed stock trades. So it's worth looking at some of these. Now, I will say there are just thousands of these purchases, sales. I don't know why all of a sudden this automated process or these independent institutions who are trading on the president's behalf would suddenly start trading now as opposed to like before where there was hardly any activity. We don't know that. But I want to zoom in on some specific egregious cases where we have trades happening around the time that there just are literal endorsements by the president. Let's take the one Nancy Pelosi stock tracker highlighted specifically, which is the Dell call out. Because on May 8th, the president said, hey, go out and buy a Dell.
Dell, go out and buy a Dell computer because they don't care about that.
Bro, I saw he straight up posts a ticker of Palantir. Okay, in one of his Truth Social posts. I can't tell if that was real or not, but I think in one of his tweets, he's just like Palantir, and then he puts the Palantir stock ticker, and he's like, it's a great company. Very cool. You guys should really invest in it.
They care about this. They make a great product. They're not looking for any publicity. I give them publicity. They say, well, thank you very much, but it's okay.
Now, this is in response to some like Trump account, I think, contribution the Dells had made. That was ostensibly the reason. But then you look at the trading activity, and the people who were purchasing on behalf of Trump bought Dell $5 million worth on February 10th, and then more on March 2nd. More.
Excuse me. What if they really wanted to purchase $5 million worth of Dell that day? You have no proof that he knew that Trump was going to come out and talk about go out and buy a Dell. They're great. Excuse me. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Here it is. Palantir Technologies, PLTR, has proven to have great war fighting capabilities and equipment. Just ask our enemies. President Donald J. Trump. I mean, like, there's nothing. He's not even tying it to anything. He's literally just like, guys, please pump this stock for me.
More on March 11th, more on March 23rd. And then he endorses a little bit later, and you can see what happened to the stock price. This was an incredible trade, ladies and gentlemen. Double your money in a few months. I mean, you kind of don't see big opportunities like that unless you're, I guess, the president. Here's another great trade. This was highlighted by Judd Legume. He went through some of these things. I'm going to be referencing some of his work here, so I'll link it below. But I pulled the specific trades and put it on a chart so you can see exactly where the purchases were. This is Micron Technology.
I'm sorry. I thought the goal was to fucking buy low and sell high. Hello. Kind of feels like that's what Trump is doing. Didn't realize that it was illegal now to do really great trades.
You can see here, the purchases are in the green arrows. And all of these purchases culminated in the president talking about Micron as an incredible company. And then all of a sudden, the stock goes parabolic after that. I mean, just has this incredible run right after the president's endorsement, which sounds like this.
I just left ahead of Micron. It's one of the hottest companies.
Now, I'll be honest, he kind of called this one like crazy. Like, look at this run up right.
Excuse me. Yeah, it's because Micron is a crazy good company. Excuse me. Excuse me. That's the president. He's the smartest. That's why he's president, and he can beat my ass, even though he's 280 pounds and fat as fuck. He could still beat my ass. Sorry, I apologize. He's 220 pounds and 6'4". God forbid a white boy get a little bit of motion. Okay. Mr. President, I love you. You can fuck my wife. Please give her the greatest orgasm she's ever had. And when you're done, you can take the whole family. And I still will vote for you gladly. I would love it. I'd be honored if you fucked my wife, Mr. President. You are so good.
After that.
Oh, I'm sorry. What? Mr. President, you're saying my wife is too old for you? Okay, well, what? You're saying my daughter who's my daughter is underage. Oh, okay. Oh, you want, okay. That you can have her too, Mr. President.
Almost called the bottom exactly. And I guess the question is, does he know something here? Is it the endorsement itself that was, caused it to run like that? Should we view it as advice when the president talks positively about a company to go invest in it? I mean, these are all questions that come to mind when you see a chart like this. But not everything is so clear-cut, black and white, right? Where the president buys, the president talks, and then it just goes to the moon. Before you set up your Trump stock tracker account, it's worth looking at a couple examples where things don't go so well. I want to show you one of the kind of bad ones. This is Thermo Fisher. So on March 11th, the White House announces that President Trump participates in a site visit at Thermo Fisher Scientific. This is March 11th.
Some great information about this incredible company, please.
And when you go to his disclosures, turns out he had been buying Thermo Fisher prior to that, including, by the way, on March 11th. So there's a purchase on the same day as the president's actual visit. The purchase, you can see there, March 11th, and it was apparently for $15,000 to $50,000. The nature of these disclosures is they don't tell you exactly how much was purchased. They just give you a range. But when you line these up on the actual trading activity, this actually is a
Coffeezilla in the chat. We're hating on him, so I hope he understands that. Also, this isn't Coffeezilla. Another coffee runner is not Coffeezilla. Coffeezilla's username is Coffeezilla probably. And we're hating on him because he hates white boys getting motion. Okay? It's true.
Pretty bad trade. Like, this does not end up going well. That, of course, doesn't mean it wasn't corrupt. Just like when things go well, it doesn't necessarily mean
you guys are so
it
dumb.
was
That's not
corrupt.
Coffeezilla.
But it's worth emphasizing that, like, some of the time, there's just money being lost here. And then now let's talk about probably, I think, the most egregious example and also the funniest one. This is Palantir. So Trump famously tweeted out the stock ticker symbol of Palantir Technologies, like PLTR, has proven to have great warfighting capabilities and equipment. Just ask our enemies. President DJT. So everyone thought this was really weird, and then it gets weirder when you realize the president was a bag holder in this stock. Like, he had bought high and then started selling low when the stock went down, which is, always a good move. He starts buying when it rallies as it goes up, and then it dips way down, and this...
Wait, he fucked up? Wait, he tried to manipulate the market and then his team fucked it up? Wait, what?
Little moment is when the president shills the stock. Which I think is, really bad. I mean, again, maybe he had no idea he was sitting on a bag of Palantir that had just dropped. That's definitely possible. But the record is just pretty ugly here, I would say. Where, buy all-time high, sell low, buy more, shill at the lows, and then it keeps kind of going lower. I mean, I don't really know what this says, but I don't know. If it is our president, I don't know that he's a great stock trader. If it's a third party, I think the third party is not necessarily, a great stock trader. But this just all looks really ugly. I mean, it doesn't take a genius to see. You don't want to wonder whether your president is, tweeting about something because he's pumping the bags of stock portfolio, or if he actually means something. And this is the most lukewarm take. I mean, you noticed when the president was calling out Congress, everybody stood up, including Congress, because it's just an undeniably obvious position to hold. No one could possibly disagree with the idea that you do not want corruption, right? And so that's why we're giving the biggest worm award to Jim Cramer today, ladies and gentlemen, because this guy had the opportunity to call this out. I mean, just basic stuff like, hey, maybe the president...
Jim Cramer, the fucking trot himself, dude. That's right. He's the best.
Shouldn't trade stocks. And not only is that an obvious take, this is also a segment called Squawk on the Street in CNBC. I mean, their job is to talk about the squawk on the street. The whole idea is you're talking about the scuttlebutt. You're talking about the opinions of the day. And all of a sudden, this slow ball down the center of the plate, why do you have to do? What do you say?
The president, the U.S. government got in. He could sell it and give that
and
the
according
number.
to the filings, the president's been trading some intel in the quarter. Yeah.
Trade.
What? What? He didn't even say anything. He physically can't. What the fuck? Wait. It's like Austin show. What the fuck? He got hit with a stun grenade, brother.
The U.S. government got in. He could sell it and give that
and
the
according
number.
to the filings, the president's been trading some intel in the quarter. Yeah.
Trade.
Got nothing to say about
Yeah.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh, what? He just went, fuck it. Nah. Wow. You didn't see this before? No. No. It's incredible. Oh, I gotta run it again. Hold on. Oh my God.
It's been trading some intel in the quarter. Yeah.
Trade.
Got nothing to say about
It's called riffing, you bigot. No, I think at first he short-circuited and then he just went, fuck it. Let's just lean into it because I'm just gonna... No, clearly the entire process is not him having a hard time coming up with words, but the first 5 full seconds is, and then he's just like, haha, I'm just memeing. Boo-boo.
Yeah.
Did the guy short circuit? I mean, is he falling apart? The last brain cells of Jim Cramer dying in slow motion? Is this a trade?
Trade.
I mean, speak, Jim. I like how this guy, he has a big old fat smile on his face. He knows this is uncomfortable for Jimmy.
So it's fucked up that he lets him. It's fucked up that he just moves on. He should have pressed him. Should have been like, come on, Jim. You got something to say? You love talking about trades. They should have just kept forcing the issue. This guy feels bad. He's like, oh my God, I think I killed Jim Cramer. Look at his face. He's like, I might have accidentally killed him. He's having a stroke. Oh, he sticks his tongue out. Disrespectful. Sticking his tongue out.
Yeah, Citi today takes it to 130.
Yeah, but the president, the U.S. government got in. He could sell it and give that
and
the
according
number.
to the filings, the president's been trading some intel in the quarter. Yeah.
Trade.
Got nothing to say about Yeah. All right, don't worry. We're not having technical difficulties here, everybody, but we got to go.
Jim, we'll see you tonight. Mad Money, 6 p.m. Eastern Time. S&P 7433. Don't go away.
I've never seen anything like this before. Oh my God. He just straight up starts tweaking, dude. What the fuck? What the fuck? Oh my God. How are you not used to this after watching Fetterman interviews? Because I know he didn't actually have a stroke, chatter. Fetterman is a stroke victim. Jim Cramer is a coward.
Yeah. All right, don't worry. We're not having technical difficulties here, everybody, but we got to go.
Wow. And they just closed the segment like that? Like, hey, Jim Cramer short circuits live on air when asked about presidential trades. And we just go to break? Like, isn't this squawk on the street? Don't we discuss? That's the whole idea of the entire show. That's why this show literally exists. Unbelievable.
We got to go.
Jim, we'll see you tonight.
I thought we were the, financial news guys. Are we afraid to talk about financial news when it's the president all of a sudden? We're not willing to talk about it. That's off limits. Making fun of Nancy Pelosi, that we all stand up for. Everybody stands up for making fun of Nancy Pelosi, myself included. But all of a sudden, it's the president. We can't talk about it. What's going on, guys? Is this North Korea? I mean, what's happening? You ask for comments from the two groups, and it's like very similar. Both say, hey, we have nothing to do with it. I don't know why we don't just treat apples to apples here, right? So yeah, I just thought this was obviously dumb. I mean, when you investigate it, it looks like some of these trades go great. Some of them go terrible, like Palantir. Some of the Thermo Fisher ones are not good. Dell Technologies did go well. Micron Technology went really well. It's just kind of a mixed bag, but an ugly one. I personally don't want presidents, Congress people, anyone in Washington should not be holding anything other than an...
Yeah, wrong. They deserve it. Wrong. Boo. CoffeeZilla hates success. What do you expect from a commieZilla, from a communist like him? Yeah, this is what can you even say? Honestly, he's winning so much, and we're saying, please, sir, can we win a little bit too? And he's telling me, fuck you. This is what he said at the Mike Lawler rally.
He's a dumb person. I said, doctor, I don't mind being called a brilliant, total tyrant dictator, but I don't want to be called dumb. What do I do, doctor? Is there some kind of a test I can take? He said, actually, sir, there is. It's a cognitive test. I said, how many...
That's not a test you take for how brilliant you are. That's a test to demonstrate you have basic competence, like basic mental competence. It's a test for people who have dementia. Oh my God. Are they actually making it seem... Are they telling him that this is actually a test of not just like basic mental acuity, but or basic mental competence, but instead it's actually a test about how brilliant you are? Only the brilliants get this, sir. Motherfucker's talking about it like he took the LSAT, bro.
presidents have taken it? None. You know this story.
Again. Yeah, I wonder why. Perhaps many presidents that actually had the same level of like late stage Alzheimer's that Donald Trump is currently going through, they knew better not to be in the public than to be in the public eye all the time, right?
No people have taken it. He's a dumb. Only used the first question. They didn't go into the other questions. They didn't go in. But toward the end, like they had a question like, pick a number, sir, any number. Okay, 203. Multiply times 9. Divide by 2.
Wait, why is he not doing it? Why did he stop? What's the answer?
Add on 1,324. Subtract 1,292. Sir, multiply it out one more time by 19. What is the answer, sir? And I got it right.
I mean, it's basic math, but I'm sorry. I don't think that that was the level of questioning. And I don't think he is capable of answering that.
He's a dumb guy. I said, wait a minute, he's a Democrat. That's how I got the name. You take the E out, you don't use the B. A lot of people don't know dumb has a B in it.
A lot of people don't know dumb has a B in it.
No, dumb has a B in it, actually. A lot of people don't know dumb has a B in it, actually. You don't need it. You.
And by a lot of people, I mean me. I learned about that recently. And everyone was like, Mr. President, if you wish it, we will take the B out. We will take the B out. Dumb no longer has a B in it. Speaking of our big, beautiful, and brave president, this is what he just tweeted.
Gentlemen, welcome back to our final broadcast, ladies and gentlemen.
Isn't it crazy that even in the AI version, AI depiction of himself, he's still a fat piece of shit? And also on top of that, he still dances in perhaps the most like geriatric autist way he possibly could. Brother, it's AI. You might as well make yourself look handsome, hot, dance better. Why are you fucking contorting?
Welcome back to our final broadcast, ladies and gentlemen.
Discard the B, but you take the E out and you replace it with a U. They're dumb. They are Democrats. You know why? Because their policies are dumb. Their policies are very dumb. He's a dumb guy.
This guy's the mastermind of the most consequential fraud of the American people to ever take place. Yeah. What does that say about our overall level of intelligence? I mean, seriously, this guy has millions, tens of millions of fans still in the United States of America. What does that say about our fellow man?